Chapter 64. How the passions of the mind change the body by way of imitation from some resemblance, also of the transforming and translating of men, and what force the imaginative power hath not only over the body, but the soul. The foresaid passions sometimes alter the body by way of imitation, the reason of the virtue which the likeness of the thing hath to change it, which power the vehement imagination moves, as in setting the teeth on edge at the sight or hearing of something, or because we see or imagine another to eat sharp or sour things, so he which sees another gape, yawn, gapes also, and some when they hear any one name sour things, their tongues waxeth tart. Also the seeing of any filthy thing causeth nauseousness. Many at the sight of man's blood fall into a swoon. Some when they see bitter meat given to any, perceive a bitter spittle, in their mouth. And William of Paris saith, that he saw a man, that at the sight of a medicine, went to stool as oft as he pleased, when as neither the substance of the medicine, nor the odour, nor the taste of it came to him, but only a kind of resemblance was apprehended by him. Upon this account some that are in a dream think they burn, and are in a fire, and are fearfully tormented, as if they did truly burn, when as the substance of the fire is not near them, but only a resemblance apprehended by their imagination. And sometimes men's bodies are transformed, and transfigured, and also transported, and this oft times when they are in a dream, and sometimes when they are awake. So Cyprus after he was chosen king of Italy, did very much wonder at, and meditate upon the sight, fight, and victory of bulls, and in the thought thereof did sleep a whole night, but in the morning was found horned, no otherwise than by the vegetative power being stirred up by a vehement imagination, elevating corniferous humours into his head, and producing horns. For a vehement cogitation, whilst it vehemently moves the species, pictures out the figure of the thing thought on, which they represent in their blood, and the blood impresseth from itself, on the members that are nourished by it, as upon those of the same body, so upon those of another's. As the imagination of a woman with child impresseth the mark of the thing longed for upon her infant, and the imagination of a man bit with a mad dog, impresseth upon his urine the image of dogs. So men may grow grey on a sudden. And some by the dream of one night, have grown up from boys, into perfect men. Hitherto may be referred those many scars of King Dagobertus, and marks of Franciscus, which they received, the one whilst he was afraid of correction, the other whilst he did wonderfully meditate upon the wounds of Christ. So, many are transported from place to place, passing over rivers, fires and unpassable places, viz. When the species of any vehement desire, or fear, or boldness are impressed upon their spirits, and, being mixed with vapours, do move the organ of the touch in their original, together with fantasy, which is the original of local motion. Whence they stir up the members, and organs of motion to motion, and are moved without any mistake unto the imagined place, not out of sight, but from the interior fantasy. So great a power is there of the soul upon the body, that which way soever that imagines, and dreams that it goes, thither doth it lead the body. We read many other examples by which the power of the soul upon the body is wonderfully explained, as is that which Avicenna describes of a certain man, who when he pleased could affect his body with the palsy. They report of Gallus Vibius, that he did fall into madness, not casually, but on purpose, for whilst he did imitate mad men, he assimilated their madness to himself, and became mad indeed. And Augustine, makes mention of some men who would move their ears at their pleasure, and some that would move the crown of their head to their forehead, and could draw it back again when they pleased, and of another that could sweat at his pleasure. And it is well known, that some can weep at their pleasure, and pour forth abundance of tears, and that there are some that can bring up what they have swallowed, when they please, as out of a bag, by degrees. And we see that in these days there are many who can so imitate, and express the voices of birds, cattle, dogs, and some men, that they can scarce at all be discerned. Also Pliny relates by divers examples, that women have been turned into men. Pontanus testifieth, that in his time, a certain woman called Cativa, and another called Emilia, who after many years, after they were married, were changed into men. Now how much imagination can do upon the soul, no man is ignorant, for it is nearer to the substance of the soul than the sense is, wherefore it acts more upon the soul than the sense doth. So women by certain strong imaginations, dreams, and suggestions brought in by certain magical arts do oftentimes bind them into a strong loving of anyone. So they say that Medea only by a dream, burnt in love towards Jason. So the soul sometimes is by a vehement imagination, or speculation altogether abstracted from the body, as Celsus relates of a certain presbyter, who as oft as he pleased, could make himself senseless, and lie like a dead man, that when any one pricked, or burnt him, he felt no pain, but lay without any motion or breathing, yet he could, as he said, hear men's voices as it were afar off, if they cried out aloud. But of these abstractions we shall discourse more fully in the following chapters.